I wonder what people are really looking for when they get an allotment. Most say they're here to grow vegetables, but I'm not convinced that's the whole story anymore. Because if vegetables were all we wanted, we'd probably just buy them. I think what we're actually looking for is something much harder to find. A place where progress happens slowly enough that you can actually notice it. You know, this ant's nest got me thinking about something. It's very easy to arrive at an allotment and start talking about my onions, my potatoes, and my shed, but the ants clearly haven't had that conversation. As far as they're concerned, this patch of ground belongs just as much to them as it does to me. And if you stop and think about it, they're probably right. Maybe that's one of the first lessons an allotment teaches you. You're never really working alone. You're sharing the space with thousands of other creatures, all of them busy with lives that have absolutely nothing to do with yours. Some help, some make life slightly more difficult, which is why they are getting the hose. But they're all part of the same little ecosystem. I've realized something about harvesting. It never feels like the end. You'd think pulling up a crop would feel like crossing the finish line, but it never really does. Instead, it feels more like turning a page. In fact, I was looking at these onions and trying to remember when I actually planted them. I honestly couldn't tell you the exact date. That's the funny thing about gardening. You remember spring onions, not the Tuesday in March. You remember the year the onions did well, not the afternoon you planted them. It makes me wonder whether gardeners measure time differently from everyone else. And almost before one crop has left the ground, you're already thinking about the next one. I've often wondered why empty soil feels so temporary. Leave an empty bed for 5 minutes, and your brain immediately starts designing its future. It's almost impossible to walk past bare earth without planning something. Maybe gardeners don't actually see empty space. Maybe we see possibility. I think sowing seeds is one of the strangest things human beings willingly do. There's no proof anything will happen, no guarantee. Yet every year millions of gardeners do exactly the same thing without giving it a second thought. That's quite an optimistic way to spend an afternoon. It also says something interesting about gardeners. We're always working for someone we haven't met yet. The version of ourselves that'll walk onto the plot a month from now. Future us gets all the rewards. Present us does all the work. When you think about it, that's quite a generous relationship to have with your future self. It's funny, once you gather a harvest together like this, it suddenly feels real. 5 minutes ago, these were just onions growing in the ground. Now they somehow feel like an achievement. Nothing's actually changed, except the way I'm looking at them. I never thought I'd say this, but I've almost come to admire Mare's tail, because it's so unbelievably determined. Every year I think I've finally got the better of it. Every year it quietly reminds me that nature has absolutely no interest in my plans. I've spent years trying to win. Perhaps gardening isn't about winning at all. Perhaps it's just about gently tipping the odds in favor of the plants you've chosen. That feels much more realistic. Here's something I've noticed. The jobs that make the biggest difference are almost never the exciting ones. Nobody visits an allotment to admire someone's guttering, but collecting rainwater changes how the whole plot works. And it made me realize that gardening is full of invisible improvements. People notice the tomatoes. They don't notice the hundreds of little decisions that helped produce them. Maybe that's true in life generally. The things that matter most are often the things nobody notices because they're quietly preventing problems before they happen. I think allotments quietly change people. Not overnight. So slowly you hardly notice. When I first started gardening, I wanted perfect crops. Now I find myself getting excited about seeing a robin, or noticing the first bee of the morning, or finding frogs where there weren't any before. Somewhere along the way, the vegetables stopped being the whole point. The allotment became somewhere I came to spend time, rather than somewhere I came to achieve things. I didn't expect that when I first took the plot. In fact, I don't think anyone ever tells you that's likely to happen. Looking around now, I don't actually see today's jobs. I see hundreds of yesterday's jobs. That's all a garden really is. Small decisions, repeated, season after season, year after year. No single afternoon transforms an allotment, but every afternoon leaves a fingerprint. And perhaps that's why I enjoy coming here so much, because even on the days when it doesn't feel as though much has happened, something has. Maybe not enough to notice today, but enough that one day you'll look back and wonder how the place ever looked any different.
Kick off my shoes, don't need anything, don't need more. Birds in the air, beans on the frame, every little morning feels the same. Look at my happy place, growing in the sun. Every little